Is that better, Mark?
Yes.
Well,
Little
it's
bit
still not
better.
great.
It's not perfect, but
Yeah. What do you expect? It's me.
don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
We are now live streaming to YouTube.
Thank you, Jake. And we have Councilman Vining coming on and Mr. Sells there. We have a couple more and then we'll get started here in about 4 minutes. Michelle, as we start on these roll calls, are you good with voice, or you want individuals on some of these?
Oh, for the commission action,
Okay.
probably,
Can I stop? Since we're on Zoom, they all have to be roll call.
Okay, thank you.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Buds. That's appreciate it.
But what I was looking at, Your Honor, was that public accuracy test. That's the only one that we have to actually really make sure that we stop and talk about the time and everything, okay?
Yeah, the details there. Thank
And
you.
if the 28th doesn't work, that's okay, but it'll have to be then, really the 28th is best.
Yeah.
Where did you guys go?
Can you see us?
There you are. My mail popped up in front of you.
Michelle, how are we doing the accuracy test?
Zoom meeting.
Okay,
So I'll, myself or Paula will actually conduct the test, and hopefully Jake will help us. And we have to be able to do it in such a way that you can see us putting the ballots into the tabulator and witness it.
that's good.
Andrew,
Andrew, can you hear us?
he's connecting.
I was connecting right now. Okay, good.
Councilman Felder, just so you know, the YouTube is started, and so it is live. We're all ready for that before we call things to order. Councilman Vining, I see you're on the screen by name. Just want to check in and make sure you're not having difficulties. Okay. And then we'll be looking for Councilman Michelangelo as well.
How's everybody this evening?
Wonderful.
Very good. How are you?
Very good.
Doing all right.
I know we're just about a minute in, and I'm looking to Mr. Buds. I know that I see Councilman Vining's name, but I have not heard or seen. And then Councilman Michelangelo has just joined, so I think
I
we're
just got off the phone with Kelly. She's working on getting in right now.
All right, very good. So we have the commission meeting. I don't want necessarily not have somebody not attending, so I'll just wait to hear. Jake, you think it's going to be a minute or so? Councilman Michelangelo, just so you're aware, the YouTube is already started, so that's live feed already, so comments are being heard.
Thank you.
And there's Councilman Vining. So I think we're all here. Clerk Treasurer Lavoy, I think we're ready.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, so as everybody recalls, we have the commission meeting to start. So at this time, call the election commission meeting to order. And clerk, if you'd call a roll of the commissioners, please.
Commissioner Germaini,
Here,
Lamore,
Here.
Felder,
Here?
Whitman,
Here.
Colangeli,
Here.
she's muted.
Kelly, you're muted.
She's got it.
Here.
Thank you.
Mayor Clark.
Here. Roll call, Commissioner's action, Clerk Treasurer Boyd, if you would proceed through the agenda for us, please.
Sure. And what I did this time, and we'll do so for future meetings as well, is I included the action needed and language for motions. So the first item under commission action is the resolution delegating the duties to the clerk treasurer to conduct the election. It is the same resolution, just updated for this May 5th election that we always approve. So the action needed is approval of the resolution.
I move to approve the resolution granting the clerk treasurer special duties for the election.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilman Felder, and I think I heard Councilman Lamore, or Commissioner Lamore. And before we take a call, Commissioner Michelangelo, you have your hand up for a comment, or was it for a motion?
No, Your Honor, I put my hand up to make the motion.
Thank you, appreciate it. Just wanted to get through it. I appreciate it. Okay, clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Germaini?
Yes.
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 Michelangelo?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. As we get to the next item, Attorney Buds reminded us that being on a virtual meeting that we are required as for roll calls through all of them. So we'll continue to move on. Clerk LaVoy.
The next item is the establishment of the absent voter counting board. We're mailing out a lot more ballots than we ever have for a May election. So I've chosen to go ahead and take advantage of the full allotted amount of time that we would be able to operate an absent voting counting board, and we'll be opening it at 7 a.m. at City Hall. The exact location in City Hall will be determined in conjunction with City Manager Pastou for safety considerations. But beyond that, it will be in City Hall, 7 a.m. So I need a motion to establish that counting board.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to establish the counting board.
Motion by Councilman Michelangelo. I see Councilman Lamore has his hand up, but we need a verbal, please.
Second.
Okay, thank you. If there's no questions, please call the roll.
Commissioner Germaini?
Yes.
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 Whitman?
Yes.
Michelangelo?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
All right, the next item is approval of election inspectors. And for those of you who've had an opportunity to review the list, you'll see it's very condensed. It involves the staff members of the clerk's office, including myself, and also asks that you delegate the ability to assign additional election inspectors if needed. Again, under the executive order and under guidance and urging from the Bureau of Elections, it's been suggested that we can bring in election inspectors, but after thinking about it and then consulting with City Manager Pastou, we decided that we were really going to try to operate this election just with city staff to keep everyone safe, including our election inspectors and our voters who may be in here that day. So having said that, I'm asking for a motion to approve the inspector list that I have presented to you.
I see two hands up, Councilman Michelangelo and then Councilman Lamore.
Thank you, Your Honor. Michelle, should the motion be to approve the election inspectors as noted plus others as needed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
My question would be similar to that in the sense, do we need to mention their names since nobody has a list? I have a list, but the public does not.
No, but sure. It's Clerk Treasurer Michelle Lavoie. It's Chris Spare, Jamie, and it is Paula
Smith.
Sorry, Paula Smith. Yes, I'm looking at four things. It's hard. Paula Smith, and she's the Deputy Clerk Treasurer.
And Jeanette Van.
And Jeanette Vanover.
Thank you.
Yes, they're all members of the clerk staff, and they've all been trained and certified as election inspectors. Thank you for asking that,
Your Honor,
Commissioner Lamore.
I'll make a motion that we approve the election inspectors plus others as needed.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Michelangelo, supported by Councilman Lamore for the motion as stated. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Germaini?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Michelangelo?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
And thank you for the clarification questions on that issue. The idea is we're gonna go with this, the clerk staff. The only reason I wanted some flexibility is because an application was mailed to every registered voter. We might anticipate a higher turnout than we're used to in a May election and may need one or two other city staff members. We're not intending to go outside of City Hall. So thank you for that. The final item is the public accuracy test. This will be conducted as a virtual meeting as outlined under the executive order, the executive orders that pertain to it. We would like to establish it for April 28th, which is the Tuesday before the election, which is when we generally do it. And what it will involve is a quorum of this commission, and someone from the clerk's office, myself, or the chief deputy will actually conduct the test, and the election commissioners on the meeting will witness it. And then, of course, it will be open for the public, for anyone who may want to attend.
Councilman Michelangelo, question?
We need a time and a volunteer.
Okay, time and volunteers. Councilman Michelangelo?
A volunteer.
Michelle can do it too.
Sounds like most everybody's available for the virtual,
Sure.
so
Okay.
if you
What
could just
time, though?
confirm, maybe through a message to each. I saw Councilman Michelangelo, Councilman Vining, Jermaine, Lamore, myself, Paula might as well. So just, if you could just confirm that, I think, do you need the 4 tonight?
No, as long as we have a quorum, that's great. You can certainly all attend. But I want to make sure, we generally do it at 10. We can do it in the morning. We can do it earlier. We can do it later. If there's no objection, we'll just say 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
That's good.
I'm seeing yeses from everybody. I would only, if I was to join, I'd only be available in the morning, but
Okay.
Clerk, if you could just arrange that since the council's available.
Wonderful. Yes, I will do that. So right now we're establishing it for April 28th, Tuesday, which is a Tuesday at 10 a.m. And you will be in receipt of the virtual meeting information. You can get on the Zoom call.
Excellent.
I guess it's not a call, the Zoom,
Yeah,
whatever we
Zoom.
call it.
That'd be wonderful.
So I just need a motion to establish that.
Your Honor,
Councilman Moore?
yes, I make a motion that we establish a public accuracy test conducted as a virtual meeting on Tuesday, April 28th, 2020 at 10 a.m. with the clerk treasurer staff.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Moore, supported by Councilwoman Germaine. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Germaine,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes,
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
All right, there are no other items under commission action, and I'm going to reserve my comments about the election for the clerk treasurer comments.
I'm going to just make a quick comment before we close out here, is because of those that maybe join us wonder why we're doing these so quickly the way we are. This election commission meeting, as we've held periodically, it's items that are required to be done for those that are tuning in here to make sure that we do the appropriate testing and things in order for the election that's coming up on May 5th that Clerk Treasurer Lavoie will talk about during the council meeting. And as we conclude this, we'll be going right into the regular city council meeting. Any other comments from commissioners? I'll see if there's any citizen comments. Not sure if there was join in or not. I'm looking for those that are managing, see if there's any hands coming in. See,
There are no hands.
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Moore, supported by Councilman Felder to adjourn. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Germaine,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes, so we're adjourned for that. I'm going to just take just a few seconds here to see, checking in with if there's any questions from anybody or things that from Mr. Perry, Jake, if there's items that we need. I don't see anybody chiming in. And I'll look at the time here, which is, I have 7:36. If we're all ready, it looks like.
Ready.
Very good. Call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Germaine,
Here.
Lamore,
Here,
Felder,
Here.
Whitman,
Here.
Angeli,
Here.
Vining,
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here, I'd ask the clerk, please, for the invocation, and we'll cite the pledge.
This evening, as we come together, let us all work as one to advance the interests of the residents of this community and all who visit and do business here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
United
States
States of America and to the republic
Republic
in
which
which
it
Which it
stands,
stands, one nation,
nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So, clerk, next item, please.
The next item on the agenda are any amendments to the agenda.
Any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Councilman Calangeli?
I have an amendment I would like to insert after item number 7, which is council action, before item 2711. It's a motion regarding the public safety director.
So you want it at this time just to put it as a motion that's coming before that, or regarding the?
A motion that comes before the budget ordinance
Okay.
adoption,
Under council action, correct?
under council action.
All right.
Other items? Mr. Buds, to amend, we make that, okay, make the motion now.
Your Honor, I think it would be appropriate if Councilman Angeli's request was put in the form of a motion and then voted on to add that item to the agenda as so noted.
That'd be wonderful. Councilman Calangeli.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll make a motion that we amend the agenda to place before item 2711, a motion regarding the public safety director.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Calangeli, supported by Councilwoman Germaini, to insert, amend the agenda on a motion regarding public safety director under council action before the budget ordinance discussion. See any other comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Germaini,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Felder,
yes,
Whitman,
Yes.
Michael Angeli,
Yes,
Vining,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Well, we have 2 participants raising their hands, so I'm assuming that may be coming for the citizen comment time, because I don't see hand. Councilman Eichland, you have a hand on your screen, but I think it's what was just discussed. I don't-
okay.
And then Matt, Attorney Buds has his
Okay.
hand still raised.
Okay, maybe that's okay. Attorney Buds then.
Your Honor, I just wanted to make mention that I presume that the clerk will add that as an item, a separate numbered item later in the future. And I just wanted to make note of that. And I believe that to be the case for the future.
Yes,
Very
it will
good.
be assigned, it'll be assigned a number.
Okay, I believe that's the 2 hands that I see now. They're gone. So, clerk, if there's no other comments on this, next item, please.
I'm not sure if this is, so the next item on the agenda are council comments not related to an agenda item, but I know we had moved that due to the virtual meeting, so, but it's here, so.
Yeah, it is here. We posted it, so we probably, Mr. Buzz, I'm looking to you. We posted that we probably should take comments if they're there. Is that correct?
I think that would be fine since that's how the agenda is so noted. I note that we have 3 participants joining us on the Zoom. I don't see anybody by phone only, so I think you could ask if there are any comments at this time and we could handle that at this moment.
So as before I get to see if those that are currently watching or zoomed in here, whether they want to make comments, just be mindful of the rules of the chamber that we have when we were meeting collectively at the city hall, still in place as far as time in 3 minutes and respect of everybody's time, and of course in accordance with proper procedures. So I'll just see and ask, are there any comments from those that are tuning in? I know that those watching the screen that managing the Zoom is seeing if there are. I don't see any comments from Mr. Buds or others. Very well. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item would be under public hearing, item 2720, budget ordinance fiscal year ending June 30, 2021, public hearing. And there are no comments on file in the clerk treasurer's office.
I know we want to bring that forward for to receive comments. So at this time, I'll just open the public hearing regarding budget ordinance for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2020. Any comments from the public? I'm sure the staff will assist if there's comments. Any comments from those listening present wish to make regarding the ordinance? Seeing none, close the public hearing on the budget ordinance. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 2719, public hearing Telegraph Road Corridor Improvement Development and Tax Increment Financing Plan. And there are no comments on file in the clerk treasurer.
Very well. I'll open the public hearing regarding 2719 regarding the Telegraph Road Corridor Improvement Development and Tax Increment Finance Plan. Any comments? I see Mr. Pastu, you have a comment, probably want to raise some upfront comments as well. Mr. Pastu.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I could have Mr. Cochran just give a little background related to the corridor improvement development plan and tax increment financing plan.
Mr. Cochran.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Mark Cochran, Assistant to the City Manager and Economic Development Coordinator. The development plan that was included with this evening's agenda was a plan that we worked with the authority that was approved by City Council earlier this year. Of course, you know, the Corridor Improvement Authority was established to make a plan to make improvements along the Telegraph Road corridor, including user accessibility and safety, improve the character, design, and identity of the corridor, as well as other public improvements that we're allowed to make to encourage economic development and greater improvements along the corridor, I guess, is a simple way to say it. But so the development plan, in order to have it sent up to the state for approval before the state certified the tax rolls so that we can start capturing some of the immediate improvements that have been made along the corridor, including with the credit union site, as well as some other parcels, and then anticipation of the redevelopment of the Lazy Boy site. We worked together with the authority basically to put together a plan that includes the recommendations that came out of the corridor improvement plan that we worked with Frenchtown, Monroe Township, SIMCOG, and the Monroe County Business Development Corporation last year. And we presented those at council a couple times, I believe. So the development plan just incorporates all the recommendations from that plan into the plan that's before you tonight, as well as the draft tax increment financing plan for the proposed improvements that are part of that plan. Given the tight time frame that we had in order to get this up to the state for their approval before the end of May is what we're shooting for. We worked with the authority with their comments incorporated. And then we also, of course, in accordance with the state statute and the act, we provided public notice to all of the affected property owners along North Telegraph Road and in the development area that was established by council with support of the authority. We also mailed letters to all the taxing, or we contacted the taxing jurisdictions for their notice of tonight's public hearing. And then we also sent another letter to every property owner within the development area with a copy of the public hearing notice, asking them to post it in a public place in accordance with the state guidelines. We had to post it within the development area in 20 conspicuous places. Obviously, given the current state of emergency and the public health issue that would present hand delivering those and asking each business to post them, we didn't feel it was appropriate exposure to risk staff going out and meeting with every property owner and asking them to publish it. So we do feel that we covered our bases under the current state of emergency and the guidelines set forth in the statute. And I'll note that in addition to having it on display at the clerk's counter, we also had it on display on the main page of the city's website and referred folks to that so they can review the development plan. And I'll say, the clerk just mentioned that there's no comments on file in the clerk's office, but also I haven't received contact from anybody besides Taco Bell's corporate office in California. So Given the fact that it went all the way to California and somebody received it, it's reasonable assurance to think that the property owners did receive both of the mailings that we sent out, and I addressed the comments that Taco Bell had and the questions that they had in the development plan.
Very good. Any questions from Mr. Cochran? I guess anyone in public hearing, but there's clarifications that might be needed. Seeing none. Mr. Pastu, do you have further? I'll take that. I see that as a no. I could read. We're still in public hearing. Any other public comments regarding 2719, the Telegraph Road project, development tax increment finance plan? Any other comments from those listening in? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. Clerk, next item, please.
We now enter council action, and the first item is the amended item put forth by Councilperson Icoangeli regarding the public safety director position.
Thank you. Councilman Icoangeli, I guess I'll go to you and maybe want to bring it forward and then kind of review what that is.
Thank you, Your Honor. I had, in consultation with the city manager and the city attorney today, the city attorney assisted in drafting a motion that I had sent out to all of the council a couple hours ago. I wanted to make sure Michelle had a copy of it for the public record. The motion states that the city council shall be provided an opportunity to discuss in detail the Fitch report on public safety and to make a determination on the future direction of public safety prior to the confirmation of or approval of an employment agreement with a proposed director of public safety, and that such confirmation or approval shall be conducted in accordance with charter and ordinances of the city of Monroe, including but not limited to ordinance 41-9. And for council, ordinance 41-9 is the ordinance that establishes the position of public safety director. So, Your Honor, that's the motion that I have on the agenda, and if appropriate, I would move to adopt that motion.
We'll need a second.
Second.
Councilman, your hands up. Oh, he's freezing then.
It's frozen. Support.
Okay, I've got a couple of other sports. I know Councilman Felder, I want to make sure it's not a question, but he's, because he's got his hand was up there, and I've received two other seconds from Councilman Warren, Councilwoman Vining. So I want to give Councilman Felder an opportunity to get back. There he is. Councilman Felder, you're
Sorry,
good?
my internet bugged out there for a second. Yeah, I second the councilman's motion.
Okay, that's what the question, because I wasn't sure if you had a question or a second. We received a few seconds, so we're there.
Okay.
Only comment I'll make is I appreciate the work visiting. I know we received the other version as we started having a dialogue. I appreciate Councilman with the manager and the city attorney and how this is drafted and read, so I appreciate that. There's no other comments. We have a first or a motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Germaini,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Icoangeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item, one second here. The next item is item 2711, budget ordinance fiscal year ending June 30, 2021, up for its second and final reading.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that the proposed budget ordinance 20-004 be placed on the floor for its second and final reading.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Icoangeli, supported by Councilwoman Whitman on item 2711, the budget ordinance of fiscal year ending June 30, 2021. Before we take a roll, Mr. Pastu, I mean, we spent a lot of time at the special meeting reviewing that. Appreciate that from Mr. Sell and all and Mr. Roy as well. Any final comment that you have? And I see Councilman Moore also has his hand raised. I'll go there afterwards.
There's nothing more to add, Your Honor. I think with the recent motion there, I think it clarifies where city administration left our budget workshop last week, so.
Very well. Councilman Lamore, you have a hand raised.
Yes, Your Honor. Does Councilman Michaelangeli have to put in the previous proposed amendment as well with his motion?
I'm looking to Mr. Buds because I think you see head shaking no, but Mr. Buds, I think the idea was to have the action prior to the budget, but if you could respond, please.
Sure, Your Honor. My view would be that I understand Councilman Michaelangeli's motion was to make sure that there was a public statement about the intentions as far as the process for hiring and evaluating public safety, and that with that having been made, it was my understanding at least that he was comfortable with the budget going forward then as presented, with the understanding, of course, that the appointment or confirmation or approval of a employment agreement would require the action of council in accordance with the charter and the ordinances. So I'm comfortable as long as the council is with that being done via separate motion and then approving the budget as is in a, I'll call it clean form.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions from council? Seeing none regarding the item 2711. There's a motion, a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Jermaine,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Michaelangeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
Ordinance 20-004, Budget Appropriation Act, July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021. An ordinance to approve the budget for the city of Monroe for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2021. The city of Monroe ordains.
Shall this ordinance pass?
Councilperson Jermaine,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Michaelangeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item, please.
All right. The next item is item 2718, resolution to adopt Telegraph Road Corridor Improvement Development and Tax Increment Financing Plan.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution to adopt the Telegraph Road Corridor Improvement Development and Tax Increment Financing Plan.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Michaelangeli, supported by Councilman Lamore on item 2718, resolution to adopt Telegraph Road Corridor Improvement Development Tax Finance Increment Finance Plan as stated. I know we had a review already through the public hearing. I'm looking to Mr. Pastor or Mr. Cochran if there's any additional. I think we heard it before. Mr. Cochran, you're good?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to add one thing. We did also publish the public hearing notice in the newspaper twice with the clerk's help.
Thank you. If there's no other questions or from council on this, seeing none, no hands. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Jermaine,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Michaelangeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
Back, your face is right up there. Sit back.
We got somebody needs to sit back, I guess. I'm not sure what that is, but that's okay. Clerk, next item, please.
I'm not used to this little TV tray that I'm using as my second table. The next item is item 2700, LETC request for millage election.
I know, Mr. Pestu, we've had this brought forward before. Now it's for action. There's nothing else or additional that's come through or come to the city.
Oh, Your Honor, this is a requested 3-year renewal of Lake Erie Transit's millage. You adopted with the budget, their operating budget, which is the last of that 3-year authorization. So they're requesting council to place on the August ballot the 1 mills that has historically been their authorized millage levy.
Very good.
Your Honor, I'll move to approve the placement of the LETC millage on the August 4th, 2020 election.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilman Michaelangi, supported by Councilman Lamore. But before we go to a roll call, I see Councilwoman Vining's might have disconnected briefly. I want to make sure we have the opportunity for all inclusion of council. If we could take a pause here for a moment. And it looks like.
Sorry about that, Your Honor. I'm back.
No problem, Councilwoman. That's you got it done quickly. So I'm sure you probably heard, but I want to make sure that we reviewed the 2700 LETC request to put it on the ballot. Councilman Michaelangi made the motion. Councilman Lamore supported. We're up for a vote. Any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Jermaine,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Michaelangi,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. As clerk gets ready, if you want to go to the consent agenda, I neglected to state at the beginning of the meeting because there's the possibility I could be disconnected. And Councilman Michaelangi, if you would fulfill those duties to continue rolling and moving along, I'd appreciate it. Clerk, next item.
The next item is the consent agenda, and for approval, for item B, approval of payments, the amount should read $483,996.72, and it is included on the agenda.
Thank you. Are there any items on the consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion?
Your Honor, item 2717.
Okay. Other items on the consent agenda for council wishes to have further discussion? You know, I ask if those that are listening in, if there's any that are listening regarding the consent agenda items, there's 3 items. If any of those they wish to have pulled for discussion. I'll make a second to take a pause here just to see if there's a way for them to. Okay, see none. So motion be in order regarding the consent agenda.
Your Honor.
Councilman Moore.
Yes, make a motion that we approve all items under the consent agenda except for the one that was pulled and have all of those items recorded by the clerk.
Support.
I heard a couple there. Motion by Councilman Moore. Councilman Vining, did you motion or was that Councilman Whitman?
It was me.
Oh, okay. I got them all wrong. Okay, so motion by Councilman Moore, supported by Councilwoman Jermaine, and the items not pulled for further discussion be accepted and placed on file and carried out. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Jermaine,
Yes.
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Michaelangi,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
The next item is item 2717, consideration to amend architectural service agreement for ALCC Opportunity Center Kitchen.
Thank you. Councilman Michaelangi.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just don't have an issue with the extension of the contract or authorization of the contract with the architect. But however, I just thought it would be appropriate because it's on the consent agenda, either for Mr. Penstu or Mr. Cochran, just to give a brief overview of the scope of the project, which I think is pretty important for the neighborhood and the community.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that's great. I'll start with City Manager Penstu, and then or if he and Mr. Cochran not start.
Mark, do you want to take it or you want me to give an update?
Sure, I can if we want to talk about the scope of the project. Yep. So using CDBG funds, we've been working with the staff at the Opportunity Center at the Arthur Laszlo Community Center, as well as MCOP, and also the YMCA to look at how we can renovate and expand the kitchen facilities. If you haven't been over there, or if you have seen them, you'll know that they are severely lacking, aged. The equipment is not functional. It's very small and just in need of repair, especially for some of the programming that the staff plan to do regarding some kitchen demonstrations, cooking, healthy cooking demonstrations and things of that sort. And so we worked with Jim Jacobs Architect to look at several different alternatives. One alternative included a possible addition onto the building itself to keep the kitchen on the main floor. We also looked at possibly renovating the small existing kitchen, but given the space constraints and the desired equipment changes, it's not functional. And so we looked at also a couple different alternatives to move the kitchen into the lower level of the building. And that's ultimately what the stakeholders and the group has decided is the best alternative. So if you've been downstairs, you'll know that there's a weight room and a weight center on the lower level. That's going to be moved upstairs to just off the gymnasium for compatible use, to have those two recreation and exercise and fitness areas right next to each other. And then also that space will be transformed into a new commercial kitchen. We toured several commercial kitchens, including the one at the Salvation Army, which this one on East Front, I'm sorry, is being modeled off of. And so it also expands and allows room to have a pantry and similar to the Lord's Harvest Food Pantry or something of that sort in the lower level. We're also coordinating this work with the floor and asbestos removal on the lower level. That's a separate contract, but in order to replace the floor, we have to do some asbestos abatement. So we're doing the entire project at once. The other scope is on the lower level in the community activity room, there's a bar, and the bar is going to be removed in conjunction with the floor replacement to put a demonstration kitchen island in. If you haven't been to ProMedica's eBite Institute down in Toledo, it's going to kind of mirror that so that the staff can do cooking demonstrations and some more additional programming out into the area without having to use the full commercial kitchen. There is going to be a large serving window connecting the community room with the larger kitchen. And so that's really the scope of the project.
I see that we have one hand. Councilwoman Vining.
Yes, Your Honor. I just wanted to make sure. I spoke with Mark about this before. I didn't like the idea of the kitchen being moved downstairs just because the serving area where we do the larger events are 9 times out of 10 held in the gym. So we had discussed an option of adding a type of dumb waiter to be able to transfer the food from downstairs to upstairs without having to go through the hallway, up the elevator, up the stairs and all of that. So I was just wondering if anyone knew if that had been included in the architectural plans.
Sure. Mr. Cochran, do you have a response?
Yeah, if I may. At the last meeting, I wasn't able to attend because I had a Lazy Boy meeting that I had to attend to, but MCOP, the YMCA, and the Opportunity Center staff met with James Architects, and I saw in the conference report that they did take a look at the feasibility of adding a dumb waiter. Unfortunately, the way that the structure is laid out, the dumb waiter would have to go up into the new weight room. And so they determined that a dumb waiter may not be feasible. I got to find out more. I just read the conference report this week, and so I'll have a chance to discuss with them. But when we looked at, and I think, Councilwoman, you and I briefly discussed this, obviously, the community room in the lower level doesn't hold as many people as the gym does. And so to have things like the funeral dinners and some larger events, it is going to be a little more inconvenient. There's no way around it. If we're moving the kitchen onto the lower level, to take the food out and send it up the elevator to have service in the gym. But we did look at some of the alternatives to try and incorporate a dumb waiter, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem structurally feasible with the project.
Also, if I may, Your Honor.
Yes, Councilwoman.
What was the name of the place at ProMedica that you said will mimic the new style for the downstairs?
Yeah, it's not going to be an exact replica, but it's the eBite Institute. It's a neighborhood grocery store that ProMedica opened in a food desert down in Toledo. And then in the upper level, they've got some kitchen islands and demonstration kitchens that they can use with participants. And so we're modeling some of that education program.
Oh, okay. Not necessarily the style.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not in the budget
Oh, okay.
because they have like 12 different kitchen islands, I think, and demonstration kitchens.
So, Your Honor, if I may,
Yes, Councilman.
let me be clear. So you're moving the service island, the bar, as we call it,
Yep.
and then, so where are you gonna serve the children?
So incorporated with the commercial kitchen is a large serving window similar to what they have at the Salvation Army on East Front Street, where it'll go directly from the kitchen into the community room.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, thank you.
And Councilwoman, if I may just make one more point, Mayor, in terms of the challenges that it presents from moving food from the downstairs kitchen up into the gymnasium, we did talk about for larger events and stuff like that, using some of the volunteer corps that MCOP has to assist in with the larger events so that, you know, the folks who are participating and cooking downstairs can focus on cooking and then have volunteers to help move the food up and downstairs.
Councilman Michelangelo, you have a hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. This is a question for Mark and for Mr. Pastu. We're increasing the budget by $1,000. Is that enough flexibility in case some other design issues come up so you don't have to come back to council? Would it be appropriate to give you a little bit higher contingency because you're developing a commercial kitchen? There may be some other unexpected costs associated with it design-wise?
We'd gladly take another 5,000 if you want. We won't spend it unless it's obviously necessary. But I think that probably wouldn't hurt because we do that with a lot of our other engineering projects.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll make a motion to approve an amendment to the architectural service agreement for James Jacobs Architect, increasing the amount by $1,000 and providing the city administration with a contingency amount of $5,000 if so needed, as authorized by the city manager.
Second.
There was a motion by Councilman Michelangelo. I believe Councilwoman Germaini made the motion for the second. Before I have a comment, and Mr. Cochran, you had something else.
Yeah, if I may just add, I mean, to piggyback on to Councilman Michelangelo, the initial cost estimates are coming in below budget. So adding the contingency, I think, is appropriate. But so far, when we're pricing out equipment and the project overall, it's coming in lower. I don't want to jinx it, and I'm going to knock on wood here. But that's some good news that we've got sort of that up and down in two different contracts, I guess.
Okay. I don't have a comment then. There's a motion and a second. Other comments from council? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
She's muted.
Councilperson Germaini,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Michelangelo,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item, please.
There are no other items, Your Honor.
That's right, council comments, and it's April. Councilwoman Germaini, start us off, please.
Thank you. I just have an announcement. MCOP and Gleaner is having a mobile food pantry this Saturday at the Monroe Sports Center from 10 to 12 for the first 200 families that attend. And that's all, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Moore.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just had a few items that I have questions either for Mark or Vince regarding the COVID-19 hours for city employees that are being banked for vacation. We may have a few problems with that because some of our staff may be needed. Say vacation time already. Is it a possibility that we may need to pay some of those hours off? That was one question.
Let me, if I may, just take that one. The vacation, the leave that's been granted by council for employees is, this pandemic leave and then also the federal sick leave associated with the 80 hours. Those are separate than vacation. clearly, HR Director Peggy Howard and I said the fact that there are, you know, frontline employees working regularly now that, you know, we may have to provide some, I guess, a waiver of our limitation on the number of hours that they can accrue, just being reasonable about it. So, I mean, we'd have to go through, you know, probably a letter of understanding with the collective bargaining units, but I don't think they would necessarily object to it. Obviously, vacations have been deferred, and this is a unique circumstance, and there's a way we can make the employees whole given their commitment through this emergency.
Yeah, my main concern was just making sure that we have all of our facilities completely staffed as necessary. That was my main concern due to the vacation hours. Also, I had basically a comment or a question for Councilman Eichelangeli regarding the parking situation that he was proposing for downtown. The question just be basically asking, if it's all right, if it's appropriate this time, just to ask him what he was considering to basically assess the businesses in downtown, or what exactly was the proposal that you're thinking of as far as that goes for the parking downtown?
Councilman, I think, and I can't think of the term, principal shopping district. Thank you. It just came to me. I think that was the realm of what your gist of it was. We got there as a conversation through the parking and the change in the revenues and the validation, and you came, if you could just go through that. I know we're gonna have work session time on that, but just for clarification, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. My I guess discussion at the special workshop meeting on the budget was that because the parking fund is going to be experiencing a deficit, and the deficit will be made up by the taxpayers and not by the downtown business owners that benefit from the parking or from the validation program, that we should take a look at something like the mayor had mentioned, a principal shopping district, which equitably assesses all of the property owners for certain expenses. And one of those would be the deficit in the parking fund. So everybody downtown pays for parking, and it's not done on a membership basis through the validation program. And that way the taxpayers don't have to pay for the deficit in the anticipated deficit in the parking fund. I think the discussion on the principal shopping district has been talked about by council for a couple of years as a way of providing revenue basically to offset parking, also provide revenue for promotions and events on a more equitable basis. So just not all of the businesses downtown participate in the Downtown Business Association, the DMBN. This is a way that everybody downtown is equitably participating and benefiting from the promotions and the events that organization does, as well as the parking. But I do think it needs some additional conversation with council when we get back into a normal workshop setting.
Councilman Lamore, if I could add, I know the DDA has been introduced to the conversation as well as we were getting into the budgets and looking at their budget, but so it's being discussed there as well. I agree with Councilman Eichelangeli. This will be definitely one of those items as we get back together, get through the COVID, that we can have a conversation at a work session to really have a good dialogue about it. Maybe it's something that Mr. Pastu could or Ms. Knowles could put together, maybe an example of where that's being done, so we have some preliminary information we could read of examples, and just a thought down the road before we get back together would be certainly some foundation and groundwork for a good discussion.
Appreciate that. Thank you, both of you. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Councilman, other questions?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Councilman Felder.
Thank you, Your Honor. Coming up on April 28th is the Workers' Memorial Day. It memorializes all those workers who pass away due to injuries related on the job or sicknesses that they get on the job. We all know that with the virus and everything that's happening right now, there are some critical infrastructure workers that are going to be particularly affected, and that those numbers might be a little bit higher than we have anticipated in the past. It's certainly prudent now, I believe, to recognize those still working and those who've passed away due to work-related injuries in the past. I hope that council can participate in the future, memorializing the Workers' Memorial Day, and the workers that sometimes are risking their lives to provide critical services to the rest of us. So I hope that that's something that we can work on in the future, but I think it's worthwhile to recognize. I think that's all I have this evening, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Whitman.
Yes, Your Honor. I really don't have any comments for tonight. I'm just truly grateful that we are getting close to getting a grip on this virus, and I don't know if we'll ever be back to normal. But I'm also very grateful to be one of the ones that can work from home, because my heart goes out to the people who can't and have no income right now. And the food pantries are doing a wonderful job. So that's been my primary concern lately. So that's all the comment I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Nicolangeli.
Thanks, Your Honor. I just want to thank Mr. Pastu, Mr. Sell, and Mr. Leroy for putting together a really comprehensive long-term budget assessment for the city. I know that things are going to be a little bit dicey in the near term relative to the stimulus and issues regarding COVID and the possibility of reduced state revenue sharing, but I do appreciate their efforts at making sure council's well aware of what our options are. Mark, I would like to express my thanks. I read through the development and tax increment plan for the corridor. It was really well done, very comprehensive, aligns very much with the corridor study, and I think it's a really good step forward for the community and revitalizing the North Telegraph Road, especially in light of the new telegraph or the Lazy Boy redevelopment project. And then I would ask Mr. Pastu a question, and this gets to what the other council have talked about in terms of essential services. How is our police department and our fire department doing relative to the COVID issue?
Actually, they've done very well. We've had only a couple of instances where we put somebody precautionary on leave to see if they had the virus or not, but we have not had any incidents where somebody has been diagnosed with the virus, which is really good. They've been very vigilant in that safety aspect of it. I got to tell you, they've done a great job. The overtime is phenomenally low, surprisingly. We've had good attendance with both departments. When I looked at the last payrolls, they came up and they've done a great job. Very, very little absences. Just done the stellar job that you would want during a state of emergency. So we should all be very proud.
Thank you. Your Honor, one last thing, and something maybe for council to think about, is that I know that some communities, especially larger communities, and this really depends on how long the stay at home mandate is going to stay in place. But some communities are starting to take a look at the periodic closure of some of their streets, primarily to allow residents and especially kids to get out, ride their bikes, walk, without having to worry about traffic. It's kind of something that's come up because of this. I think it's a novel approach, basically allowing people to get outside without having to contend with cars. Like I said, it's something we don't need to talk about tonight, but I wanted to throw it out to the city administration, maybe about taking a look around on the internet, finding out how it's working, if there's some application that we could use here in the city to help some of the residents out, especially when it's getting warmer. That's all I had, Your Honor. And I just want to tell everybody, stay safe and healthy. And thanks a lot.
Thanks.
No other comments.
Yeah. Councilwoman Vining.
Your Honor, thank you. Of course, I just want to continue to offer my best wishes and prayers to the city. And I am really upset, Your Honor. We got some people running around, shooting around the neighborhood. And I just think not only is it a crime, but it's a shame that especially during a time like this, when our first responders are taxed to the max and worried about other things such as COVID-19, that we got some people running around here shooting. Now, this is like the third or fourth shooting event that I have heard. Thank God no one's been shot to my knowledge or injured, but there are children out of school. There are people out trying to get exercise and trying to keep their sanity during these trying times. And we got these people out here with this nonsense. So I'm really hoping that our officers or any of our citizens who know who's the culprit, who's out here with this nonsense, will call in and let it be known, because it just absolutely makes no sense. Again, it's a crime and a shame. And if you're sitting at home and you know who this is and you're not saying anything and you're going to wait for one of our children or somebody else, an innocent person, to be injured, shame on you as well. So I just wanted to say that it just doesn't make any sense. And I've been really hot about it today. And so I just wanted to get that off of my chest, Your Honor. And again, I know I've said it before, but I have family members in other counties, and the work that Vince and the rest of the staff and all of our people in the city, including the council, are doing, it is to be commended. And I really appreciate it. So that's all I have for this evening, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And I agree with you. There's enough that we have to deal with at this time in all communities, including ours. And items such as that is we have to be a community together, and we have to support each other, and we have to make sure that those type of actions that you were talking about, uncalled for, absolutely do become a partner with the city, a partner with your neighbors, and really come together on all our items we're trying to deal with through COVID-19. But those particular are disappointing, and I hope that the information can get forward appropriately so we can address it safely for all concerned, and especially the residents and responders. So a couple of comments were already made, but I'm going to touch on them as well. I agree that we're very fortunate as a community and as a council for the city manager, our financial director, Mr. Leroy, Mr. Cochran, and all of our administrative staff, for us being able to project this far on a budget under these circumstances. I think is very impressive, and I want to say my personal thanks and thanks on behalf of the council. I also want to thank the council and the administration. I really think that collectively we're some forward thinking here of how we're getting not only through this time, but looking at all the items they mentioned at the special meeting. Those that think that we're just taking a pause and standing still are not the case at all. If anybody believes that, they need to go back and look and listen to the special session and all those topics. And I only touched on a few that's on everybody's mind as the council. And we're looking, and we're not just waiting for everything to get back to, I'll say, normal, because we are working through those with the city administration and forwarding thoughts and items that we maybe have an opportunity to have a virtual work session on maybe things that are a little bit easier lift. I think there's a possibility for that. I see Mr. Pastu, he may have that in his comments. But one thing I'm going to ask is as we move forward, and Mr. Pastu, if you just kind of a review of those actions we took at the special meeting for those that may not have heard or been participant, and we can have another opportunity to, why we're putting things in place and for the safety of our community, safety of our employees, safety of our residents. And at the last meeting, and I know you'll get into the details on it, but the governor's executive order about stay in place and stay safe. Council took the position that we understand that there's those that have a desire to move forward quickly, but we have to be safe first. And the support of the council, I'm appreciative of it. And I've got many responses back from the community. Well, sure, we would like to have things where they were. This may not be the time yet. And I hope we're getting closer. And we just have to be kind of stay the course at this time. And if we have success over the next couple of weeks or so, we'll see what happens as that comes along. So Mr. Pastu, you could kind of review those dates and stuff when they come through. I know Clerk Treasurer Lavoie is doing a great job working on the election. I know she'll have some comments at that as well. So I just want to say thanks to the council and the residents that are following the executive order the best that they can and aren't doing some of the things we've heard about and are being cognizant of each other's health and safety. So I think I'll stop there for this evening and wish everybody well, that we do stay safe, stay healthy as we stay in place, and make sure if there's things come up, don't hesitate to get hold of city management, city manager as we move things forward. So with that, Clerk Treasurer Lavoy, I think you might have some comments as well. Mute. You're muted. There you go.
Darn, I was trying to be so smooth too. Anyway, I just want to kind of continue on what you were talking about, Your Honor. We have the election coming up May 5th. And while the election system in Michigan is not really designed for an all absentee election yet, we're getting it done. Staff is coming in and working on Saturday and Sunday to try to turn around the ballots as soon as we get the applications. If I'm adding all the numbers correctly, we're at about 2,400 ballots sent out. And in a typical May election, we have a total of 3,000 ballots cast, about 1,000 absentee and the rest at the precincts. So you see there's been a shift and we're grateful for that. So going along with what you were saying is, even if the orders are lifted at the beginning of May, things are going to move slowly. And that's why the governor and the Secretary of State put the absentee balloting in place for voters. Anyone who's registered should have received an application to vote absentee. If you did not, please call the office. You are welcome to come to City Hall. That will be the one precinct that is open. And I've heard from people, they say, well, I want to vote in person. And that is perfectly within your rights. I just want to encourage you to take advantage of the vote from home option if you can, for everyone's sake, for your safety, for other voters' safety, for city staff, and just society in general as we work through this. I also do want to explain that when you come to City Hall on May 5th to vote, you're really voting absentee in person. And what I mean by that is you will be issued a ballot, but instead of normally what happens at a precinct, you take the ballot and you put it in the tabulator yourself. On election day, the Bureau has given us directives that we are to take the ballot and then give it to the absentee counting board, where it will be processed with the rest of the ballots. So I know a lot of people like voting in person at the precinct. I'm one of those people, so I completely understand it. But on May 5th, I'm really encouraging you to have already voted, have already made your choice, and have done it either by returning a ballot to the drop box at City Hall or in the postage paid return envelope that was included with your ballot. Won't cost you anything to mail it back. And the post office is working to keep all of the ballots that are mailed in Monroe, not sending them out to other processing centers. So really you should have very little concern. Nothing's 100%, but very little concern about returning it in that pre-postage paid envelope. So that was just my encouragement, that you vote absentee if you want to participate in the May 5th election. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is Habitat for Humanity, putting my treasurer's hat on. Habitat for Humanity has a program, the HOPE program, HOPE. It is to help people who may be dealing with some financial difficulties at this time. They can help you maybe work with creditors, find out what resources are available in the community. And that information, our Director of Communications, Jody Egan, is going to put up on Facebook and probably on our website. And you can also go to the Habitat for Humanity website and review that information if you need some help. It's a good resource. So that's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, Clerk Treasurer Lavoy. Mr. Pastou, comments this evening?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to follow up with the actions council had taken last week. One, extending the closure of city facilities through Monday, May 11th. And also along with that is approving pandemic leave for employees, along with the federal 80 hours for full-time employees as part of the federal legislation, Families First. So those were actions that the council took. May 11th is, I think, been setting that date, at least targeting from an administration standpoint, taking into account that if the executive order is lifted on April 30th, it doesn't make sense to come in for one day. You've got the election on Tuesday, probably a good cleaning on Wednesday. And so let's get ready for the following week if we have to come to back to work. Now, having said that, there's a lot to be done. And I think, we're certainly looking at how we go about maintaining with distance with employees, maybe involve some scheduling. We're looking at changing the counter so that there is a glass separation from employees and the public, and certainly looking at really narrowing the common area footprint in City Hall. And the rationale is it's much easier to and more effective to sanitize a much smaller area for the benefit of not only the employees, but also the public as well. So this is all leading up to, it's like to ask if council is interested in a special work session, maybe next week, where there's a lot of stuff been going on. And, I think last week with the budget presentation, with, the use of, shared displays, that seemed to have worked pretty good, that, I can line up a lot of the department heads to give council an update, because they have been busy through this last month. And there's a handful of things I think would be beneficial to talk with. Mr. Sell today had a webinar, and, maybe it's not so good at the state level, but depends on how much they're willing to share some of the federal money back to locals. So there's a lot of things in play that I think is going to help us determine how we're going to manage a few of these issues here in the short run as well as the long run. So before I come back to the question on the interest in the work session, I do have to say thanks to Mr. Sell. I think we all know and appreciate what a wonderful job he does for the city. Barry and the other department heads as well take it very seriously, and he's just got a very good process for an organization of our size. So we're very fortunate in that regard, and more importantly, I'm very fortunate. So the other thing with it too, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say it, but it was something very small related to how we change our business as a result of this pandemic. Something as simple as talking about a bid schedule. It initiated with Clerk Lavoie talking about, look, we can't have everybody in here at one time. And so we are literally today kind of triggered a number of emails with department heads looking at how we can go to essentially doing, if you will, a Zoom type of bid opening where you have a webinar so it's accessible, but it may just take place literally in the clerk treasurer's office along with having a witness verification. So there's a lot of changes, some positive that makes us more effective, efficient, and so we take those opportunities. So having said all that, just want to say thanks, but also just ask the question, are you interested in a work session? Because we could give you a couple hours worth of stuff.
I'm seeing some hands raised. I'll take that as a positive. I think that's something that we could start. I want to give Jake there his kudos, because these virtual meetings and have gone very well. All the support, and at a moment's notice being able to get pull any one of us through if we need to be online quickly. And so I think as we've had success, I know there's always things that come up, but I think that there's the potential to be successful in some work sessions and move some things forward that won't be that I'll say the long 3-hour discussion, but the discussions of being able to knock some things out. That's my thought. I saw Councilman Whitman, Councilman Michelangeli, Councilman Vining, Councilman Germaini support. I think thumbs up from Will. I don't know if Councilman Feller, if you had a comment, or he's good. So I think Mr. Pastu, if you could look at the calendar and we'll work some communications out for some dates. And I do have a follow-up. I know that we talked about the election on the 5th and the next scheduled council meetings on the 4th. Is that still something looking at through a virtual meeting, or do you think otherwise?
I'll add Mr. Buds. I think we're good through that date.
Okay, Mr. Buds.
Yeah, the executive order runs through May 12th, permitting continued meetings via remote. And I believe in our prior resolutions, we indicated that we would do so while that was still an option and while the executive orders were still in place.
Yeah, I agree. I think Councilman Kalonji, I think that's a question or a positive, yes.
It's a positive. I would appreciate a special meeting. I'm kind of tired of watching the Disney Channel.
So we'll look forward to that communication from the city manager. And I think I know there's a lot of items. We all have items as well, but we'll see if we get through the first one and then we can keep moving forward. With that, Mr. Bastu, anything further?
Nothing for me, Your Honor.
Okay, as I get ready for the citizen comments, I'm just going to look at the council and see if there's any maybe additional thoughts one might have had for the manager or otherwise. So I'm looking to the, Councilman Felder, go ahead while we get queue up, see if there's any citizens comments.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. I just had a question with regards to the DTE finalization. Has that agreement been finalized, and have the other taxing jurisdictions been informed of the decision that's to be made?
The settlement agreement is still being negotiated. I talked with Mr. Geisch last week, and so they're still working on some of the legalese aspect of it. Clearly, the financial aspects have been shared with all of the taxing entities.
Very good. Councilman?
Okay.
Good. Okay. Looking to Clerk Treasurer Lavoy and Mr. Buds, I think if we're, see if there's any citizens comments. Clerk, if you, before you ask, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that no one has their hands raised, Your Honor.
Okay, so at this time on the agenda is for citizens comments for those that are queued in and listening or watching. If there's any citizens comments, if we could raise a hand or queue in. I'm looking to see if there's any confirmations from those monitoring. I see none. Last call. Very well, there's no citizens comments, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. It's great to see you all, and we wish everybody well and our community well and safe. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Moore, supported by Councilman Felder to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Germaini,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Whitman,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes, we're adjourned. Thank you all.
See everybody later.
Good night.
Have a nice evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Sell.
Lord, I can't never figure out